Imagine being able to outsource the entire sales process for both cash and term deals. I'm talking about deed creation, contract creation, note management, IRS documentation, everything. Today, David and I are speaking with Federico Pomi of Fabrica. Fabrica is a company that enables you to completely outsource the sales and legal processes associated with your land transactions.
Good afternoon, gentlemen. How are you today?
Very well. Hi, David. Federico, nice to meet you.
Hi, Federico. How's it going, Howard? How's the weather out there in snowy Connecticut?
It is beautiful. We just got a fresh foot on the ground. I was driving around in the SUV, getting a little slide in the back wheels. It was a lot of fun. Kids are all out sledding. So good day to be talking about land.
That's your first big snow of the year, huh?
It is late in the season. Usually we get it around Halloween.
Very good. So Federico, you go by Fede Pomi. I got
That's
it right.
All right. That's perfect.
From the company Fabrica, based out of San Francisco, and very good. Thank you for coming on today, Fede. We're very happy to have you. Done some reading on your about your info and your site, and you've got a really interesting product of which I think our audience will be very interested in learning more about. So tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started Fabrica and how long you've been doing it. And then we'll get into some specifics on the value proposition.
Absolutely. And first of all, thank you for having me. Really, I appreciate it. So, well, my story is pretty easy. I moved here to the US 6 years ago for work, and I bought a house pretty soon. And I discovered what the process was like in terms of the closing. So one thing is like finding the house or finding an investment opportunity, and then which is like always like exciting. And then there's like the sort of less exciting part, which is the actual closing and all the paperwork and notaries and fingerprints and deed. And it's pretty complex. And I was like surprised by that. I was like, oh, I think that is something that we could automate and we could make it much, much better. And when I started looking into it to design a solution, I discovered the land space and an amazing and super active community of people buying and selling lands and investing in amazing properties all around the US. And that's how we started.
Very good. Very good. So tell us a little bit about your primary value proposition. How are you simplifying the real estate transaction? How are you taking so many steps out and able to simplify and lower the cost and do it faster than everybody else?
Yes. So what we have discovered is that today most of the transactions happen online, meaning that the buyer and the seller find themselves online. So you see there are like a lot of websites where marketplaces and land investors have their own website where they showcase their properties, and the buyer find opportunities there. So what happens is that once they have found the land that they want to buy, currently they have to go completely offline to handle the process. And that's where we work. We provide the seller a very easy link for each of his properties that are for sale that allows the buyer to basically go through a very easy checkout process as you would do for any other item online or any other shopping website. And we take care of managing the payment and managing the transfer of a title. And everything happens online in a few very easy steps.
That's
wow.
When somebody, so I'm curious. So when a buyer comes to a land investor's website, they click on the button, and they've got this super easy transaction. It's basically like buying, anything off of Amazon. I was going to try to come up with something clever. I couldn't come up with something, but something silly off of Amazon. And it's the same thing now. And yet, have you run across this thing where like people they question it? They're like, wait, I'm buying real estate here. This is too easy. This doesn't feel right.
Yeah, it's a very good question. And I think it's, on one side, we were surprised to find that actually people are ready for that, because you already do everything online. You buy stocks online, you can buy a car online, you can buy everything. So real estate was really the next thing to do online. But we, to make sure that everybody can perform a transaction in the safest way possible, we provide all the information about the property, and we, at the end of a checkout process, we provide a proof of certificate, a proof of ownership to the buyer. So essentially, you immediately get a receipt for the property that you have just bought, similar to what you would get with traditional systems.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So let's say I'm doing a direct closing. I close my purchase through you. We're dealing with an elderly seller who doesn't do any technology, going to have a notary sent out there. So you arrange the notary, send the notary the cashier's check. How does the process work? Because that is what we would normally do, right? We'd source the notary ourselves, send them a cashier's check with the documentation and the deed and everything, and then have them process it with the seller and send it back to us. Are you essentially just taking that service over and doing it for us in one big package? How does it work?
So this is something that we're looking to do more next year to support your own acquisition. Currently, the product that we provide and that we have up and running is more on when you sell the property. So you are selling your property and you have your buyer. And when the buyer is ready to pay you, you basically send the buyer this link, and we take care of everything. On the acquisition side, when you need to buy a property from previous owner out there, we're doing some experiments, but we haven't launched our product there yet.
So
gotcha.
Property, you create the deed, and so the deed, so it's still kind of happening in what we would call the normal process. So the deed is going to come into the name of my land investing business, and then once I have that, then I'm going to, when I start working with you, then there's going to be a change of ownership as it goes into some other entity. So there's going to be another kind of transfer step, at least before the sale happens. Is that correct?
That's correct. So the system that we use is essentially that when you want to put a property for sale with Fabrica and you add it to the system, we create a small legal instrument, a trust, that holds the title of a property. So you are still the owner of a property through a trust. And when a buyer comes along and wants to buy your property, he is actually buying the trust. So the trust gets transferred from you to your buyer. And that's the way that we use under the system that we use under the hood to enable a super fast and efficient transaction. But the first step of like adding the property and creating the trust, we take care of it. So for you, it's just a form that you fill up online, and we take care of everything else.
First of all, what a clever solution. I mean, that legally, it's just an incredibly clever solution. I wonder though that, especially in like the rural properties, we often are dealing with people who are not very sophisticated. I mean, the concept of a trust is almost will make their head explode. They don't know what it is. Is it safe? Why shouldn't it come to me? Have you run into any I know it works. I know it's the right answer, but have you just run into any kind of situations where people on the other side are like, I don't know what's going on. This feels unsafe, or this feels too complicated, or whatever?
Well, surprisingly, a lot of people know about trusts, but they thought that it's something for like wealthy people or like very complex and so on. But we make it so easy to use that we're happy to have something that they've heard of and now they can use it simply and very easily. And especially if you consider like buyers are very happy to do the whole process online, and having a third party that guarantees the transfer from the seller to them. So very good with the process that we use.
Very good. Well, I want to dive a little deeper into this, but first we're going to break for a word from our sponsor, LANDSpeed. Hey, folks, people often talk about automating and outsourcing your land flipping business, but what does that really mean? Generic solutions leave it to you to figure out how to set up and maintain the automations. I've been running my land business on LANDSpeed for over 3 years because it's a total solution and allows me to focus on being a great land investor. LANDSpeed was built specifically for land investing by a land investor. And with many of the most successful people in the business using it for years, it's evolved into one of the most feature-rich solutions on the market. Some of the key benefits I get are being able to create and manage mail campaigns and neighbor letters. I'm able to automate tasks amongst my team, create contracts and deeds, and email, text, or mail them within a few clicks. I can automatically capture sales leads from any lead source, including Facebook Messenger. Then it automatically pushes those leads into my sales funnel so that I can manually follow up, but they also go into my automated drip campaign. And since LANDSpeed's a total cloud-based solution, I can run my business from anywhere in the world with a phone, laptop, or tablet. So if you want to turn your hobby into a professional, scalable business, just go to landspeedtech.com/Dave to receive a $150 discount today. Okay, we're back. Well, Fede, gosh, I want to dive a little deeper into this product that you're offering, because it really sounds like it can save land investors on the sales side a ton of time, headaches, paperwork, and training VAs and things like that, especially for those people who are working full time and doing land as a side hustle. This really takes a lot off their plate in completing the sale, getting the deed transferred, getting paid, making sure everything's correct, all of that stuff. So, tell us a little bit more about, an action, the actionable items that you can bring. What have you learned, talking to some of the individual land investors? Obviously you've discussed things with them to figure out their pain points. And you had a pain point in buying your house, hence the product. So maybe elaborate a little bit more on that.
Absolutely. So it's interesting, because if you look at land investors, they all start from one property. You all have started from buying one property and selling it. And the first one is, you need to learn a few things, but it's like, it's a deed, it's one county, I can do it. And then you add a second property and a third property, and you start to get out of your county, over your state. And all of a sudden you find yourself dealing with a payment processor, or someone who takes care of a payment plan, and a website, and the marketing tools, and the notary, and the recording, and the number of tools that you end up using is it's crazy. So you want to scale the business, and you want to spend more time on finding the right opportunity, but the reality is that you will be spending more and more time on tooling and paperwork, which is not what you want to do. And sometimes those tools just stop working, or there are issues in some states, or we are using the wrong template for a state. And this might have legal consequences as well. So we want to remove all of that complexity and provide a simple dashboard for you to put your properties and put them for sale, and everything else is automated. That's what we do, and the pain point number one that we solve.
Are you? So this all started from a pain point you had in buying a house, and I see how the land business could be like a low-hanging fruit here. Are you looking to expand this into houses as well?
That's correct, Howard. So we started from land because of a number of transactions and the fact that it's a perfect ideal use case for transactions happening online, but clearly there's like a larger pain or a larger opportunity for the whole real estate industry to automate transactions and remove all of the paperwork and inefficiencies that you see in the process.
And so outside of things like title research and things, title insurance and all that, you're kind of covering the other part that a title company would do for you. Is there any escrow aspect to this where, you know, somebody can kind of lock up a property with the escrow while you're kind of, I don't know.
Well, if you think of it, the system that we use is sort of an alternative for the escrow, because what we do by having the title held into the trust name is that essentially we can transfer the property or the trust just at the moment that the payment lands into the bank account. It's an alternative to an escrow system if you want.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So is the trust the actual system that's behind the scenes to make the transaction so fast and easy, or do you have another system, technology, something? Blockchain is coming to my mind.
Right.
Yeah, so you're using the right word. We usually don't pitch it because it's something that people can get scared of, but it's actually the technology that we use under the hood. So our product has a very strong legal component, as you can imagine, because of the trust and all the different states that we support. But the technical component is based on the blockchain. So that is the final ledger that basically says who owns the property.
Gotcha. So the smart contract technology within blockchain. Very
Correct.
cool. Very cool. For those of you who don't understand what blockchain is, you really
nobody does. Don't worry.
Yeah, but I'm telling our audience, you should look it up, because blockchain is going to be doing some amazing stuff by automating a lot of these types of transactions in the future. And you know, there's also some really great investment opportunities in the companies that are working on blockchain. For sure.
It's the 21st century version of the internet.
Exactly. It is.
It really is.
It actually is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we've talked a little bit about seller finance deals, but do we need to go into a little bit more detail on exactly how you handle it? Let's go into some detail on just what a transaction looks like on seller financing and everything that you provide service-wise.
Absolutely. And that was like the second big pain point that we have discovered when talking with our customers. So the first one was the automation around all the paperwork and recording and transferring the title. But the other big pain point was like, wow, when I have like sold 100 properties, I have to deal with all these notes with seller financing that I need to make sure that every month I get the payment, and what happens if the buyers want to perform an extra payment, or if it doesn't pay, and so on. And clearly that was like a big struggle for a lot of people, and we have solved that. So a big part of our product now is that we take care of seller financing end to end. So when you put a property for sale on our system, we create all the documentation and a legal contract for seller financing. You just have to put in the terms that you want to offer to your buyer. And again, from the very same link that we mentioned earlier, the buyer can click on buy now, pick either cash or financing. And if it's financing, he will be charged on his bank account each month. It clearly provides a down payment at the beginning. We charge that on the bank account too. And then each month he gets charged and the money is moved to your bank account as a seller. And at the end of a payment plan, we transfer the title as part of our system. And the cool thing is that both the buyer and the seller have an amazing dashboard where they can see all the scheduled payments and they can change them, and the whole payment plan automatically gets updated. So as a seller, you literally just see the money coming to your bank account, and you can dig into each property to see how the buyer is going and how far he is from paying the whole plan. And as a buyer, it's very easy, and it's like any other online system, basically.
Nice. So
Are you talking about the financial terms, or what about other terms that would be in the contract? Things like whether they can use the property while collecting money, or do they have to wait until after the deed transfers, or those kinds of terms?
Yeah, it's a good question. So we let the seller fine tune and customize the financial terms. So let's say the down payment, the interest rate, pro rata property taxes, or any servicing fee that they want to charge on each month. And in terms of the terms of use of a property and so on, we currently use a standard contract. So typically, the buyer can use the property, but he cannot build on the property till the moment that he has fully paid for it.
So that's in the standard contract. Is there any flexibility for an owner for a seller to add different verbiage? Because I know some people will allow it after they've got it 50% paid off and things like that.
That is something that the buyer and the seller can do if they want, but it's sort of like outside of our system. The other thing that we are considering for the future is to, if you think of it, what we do is very similar to a traditional land sale contract. What we are thinking and we have in the roadmap is to have like a sort of a pro version, which is closer to a traditional mortgage. So in that case, when the buyer start paying for the property, he becomes the owner immediately.
So it's a deed of trust.
Yes, exactly. So it would be more similar to that. And that clearly comes with more rights on the property than the traditional land sale contract.
Sure. So for higher end properties. Now, on something like that, though, whether it's seller financing or not, when you get above a certain value, a lot of times customers, they want title insurance. So how would that work? As obviously you're not a title company, you're not issuing title insurance, at least not yet. Tell me a little bit about that. Is there a solution for that? Would you partner with a title company?
Yes, it's a good question. So currently we don't provide title insurance, but we're getting licensed as a title agency in some states.
Okay.
And we can put you in touch with a title insurance for insuring the property, even if it's on our system. That's the current solution that we have. And consider that we are currently working mostly on properties below $30,000 in terms of value. But clearly we want to get into the higher value segment too. And we are looking at building our own title insurance product that will be, let's say that we are looking at two different options. One is with a larger player that would provide the actual policy, and another more innovative approach would be through something customly done, but it's more like in the future in the roadmap.
Gotcha.
In order to provide title insurance, you're going to be doing then the title work. You're going to be checking and proving the chain of title.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. Keep in mind that as of today, what we do is that we are giving a lot of transparency on the property so that the buyer can see the title chain immediately on the website. That it's something that we will release in the next few months. And as a buyer, you will see that's your property that you're buying, the legal description. If you want, you can click on see more, and you will see all the past transactions that happen and dig more into the deeds and so on if you want to review the title chain yourself. So we make it extremely simple and easy, and that is exactly what people want for these properties, just to take a look at the title and make sure that it looks right. Of course, for more valuable properties, you want an insurance or an assurance or guarantee, and that is what we are developing for the future.
Neat.
Gotcha. So I have two questions that are a little bit outside the box. One is about, well, let's go back to seller financing for a second. because I was actually addressing this. I started a dialogue chain on Facebook the other day, talking about this subject, because I'm actually looking to put myself in a better position to provide this assurance to my buyers. And as sure as I'm sitting here, I can bet that 99% of land investors out there, unless they're using a note service provider, but if they're using a couple, any of the online note servicing tools, they're probably don't have anything in place. And that is basically, a succession plan. I've got, for example, a small land investor, you've got 20, 30, 40 notes, and you're the only one who can sign the deed on those properties. And most people are probably not pre-signing them and giving them to some sort of a attorney or title company to hold in escrow, so that if, Lord knows, that bus with your name on it hits you tomorrow. Because I always like to think we all have a bus with our name on it, right? People think about,
Nice.
Estate plans and things like that. Oh, I'm young, I don't need any of that stuff. Yeah, bullshit. You do need it, because everybody's got a bus with their name on it. So anyway, let's say I flame out tomorrow, and I'm the only one who can sign these properties away. If I sold that property on seller financing through Fabrica, and it's in a trust, those payments would keep going into my bank account, and whatever, and you're going to manage that, and whatever I have set up in my own estate plan with my family, they're going to be able to take over my bank account. And then but to protect my buyers, when they pay that loan off, you're going to be able to transfer that deed, because it's in a trust, with or without me. Is that correct?
That is correct, but at the same time, it's important to know that when you add the property on Fabrica, one of the things that we ask you is to nominate a successor in case the bus with your name is right around the corner.
Exactly. There you go.
And so all of the properties already are like nominated to the next in line should anything happen to you. So that is already
So that
considered.
becomes a legal document that if something happens to you, that successor has the legal authority to act.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's correct.
That's
Nice.
great. That's great. Okay, so my second outside the box question is, sometimes we tie up properties on option, or a long closing for whatever reason. Maybe because, there's various reasons that we do options, right? We're maybe not sure of the marketability, we couldn't get it for the price we wanted, but we think there's some spread in there, but not enough to take it down and risk selling it. So, maybe we'll have it on a 180-day close with our seller. So, and then usually what happens is we'll open up escrow with the title company and just let them know, hey, it's a long closing. The way you've described it would probably be difficult to do that with you until such a point I find my buyer, but then I would close on it on the purchase side with the title company. The next day I would open up with you and sell it. Is that how you would do something on an option?
Yes, today it would be like that. And don't forget that we're pretty fast. So from the moment that you put the property on our site, you're usually able to sell it and close it in a few hours. So we're pretty fast on that side. So when you decide to do the deal, and you can do everything within hours. And the other thing to consider is that in the future we will assist you also on the acquisition side. So that will speed up things there for sure too.
Gotcha. All right. Very good.
Is it just me, or is it getting harder and harder to count on a job for our financial security? Who would have ever believed that we would go from the lowest unemployment in 50 years to 40 million people unemployed? Whether you have a great job and want to create a second income, or you're recently unemployed, you need to check out LAND.MBA, your one-stop shop for land investors. Investing in vacant land is a proven business model that can help you build a reliable and scalable second income. Imagine a business where you love what you do. There's no limit on how much money you can make. You can operate your business from anywhere in the world with an internet connection. And best of all, you can never be fired or downsized. If this sounds good to you, LAND.MBA provides everything you need to get your business up and running and delivering income quickly. You get education, an end-to-end video course and optional coaching to help you get started faster and turn your energy into income. You get tools so you can automate and outsource the busy work and stay super organized. You get access to a thriving community of like-minded investors, which is a powerful way to share best practices and develop potential partnerships for growing your business. And finally, you get access to deal financing, so you never have to pass on a great investment opportunity due to limited funds. Our team has over a decade of real estate investing experience and has the knowledge and experience you need to help navigate any investing scenario. And with LAND.MBA, we hold nothing back. Because there are no upsells, you get access to all of our combined knowledge right out of the gate. So don't wait to provide your family with financial freedom. Sign up today for LAND.MBA's Soup to Nuts Land Investing video course. Just go to courses.land.mba and use coupon code FREEDOM to get 25% off. That's courses.land.mba and coupon code FREEDOM. And let us help you say goodbye to your job and hello to financial freedom.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
Is it a motion sensor?
Yes.
Is your website going to be a consolidated sales site for land, or how do we get it? How do I get it on my website as well?
Say it again. Sorry, Howard.
So you said when getting it onto your website. So my first question is, so are you going to become a consolidated sales site for land, kind of like a land.com? And also, how does that property or get onto my website, or is it as simple as adding a buy link into my property on my website?
It's a good question. So we don't want to be a marketplace. So we're not a land watch, or we want you guys to be able to market the property where you think it's better and where you know it will sell through your mailing list, your website, and all the channels that you use. And to do so, we provide you just a link to do the closing, and that is like the tool to close. And then once the property is closed, yes, the buyer has access to the dashboard and can see and manage his properties. But from a marketing perspective, we're not changing how you work, because we think you are very good at doing that. So that is not what needs to be changed.
So instead of having a checkout link to a merchant on our website, we would just have put the link to Fabrica's website, and they check out on Fabrica's website.
That's correct.
That's a huge benefit right there, because working with merchants is disaster in our business. It's very difficult. They oftentimes will stop working with you for no reason because they don't like land. So if you're replacing merchants, that's fantastic.
Yes. Well, the reason why you face so many issues with them is that it's not easy to handle real estate payments, and in many states it's highly regulated. So in some cases we have seen like land investors using tools that are not meant for land, and when the payment processor discovers that, they just ban them, and all of a sudden you have like 100 notes to serve that you can't get anymore, and it's pretty painful. While we have all the licenses that are needed to do so, where we got the real estate broker license in California, we have title and agent license in Pennsylvania, Arizona, New Mexico. So we're getting all the licenses that are needed to do so. So we will never shut down your payments.
Now, through your system, does the buyer have the option of paying via credit card or ACH?
Currently, we are using ACH only. We're looking into credit cards and debit cards. Credit cards are interesting. Many buyers want to use them, but at the same time, they come with a price and it's a pretty high fee. And we have seen that there are two components there. One is the convenience, and the other one are the fees. And ACH is convenient if you do it right. What we do is that we use a system that allows you to basically connect your bank account very easily without having to remember the routing number or ACH number and so on. And so we've seen that that has solved most of the resistance or friction that you had previously with ACH.
Is it like, for example, when I'm using Zero or and I want to connect my bank, all I need is my login?
That's exactly it, David. We're using the very same solution. So you put in your login of your bank account, and once it's connected, all the payments go from there. So it's very easy.
Beautiful.
It's very, very safe. We never get to see your bank credentials, nor we don't even know your bank account number. We know nothing. So it's the safest thing ever.
That's great. And how fast does the ACH take? Because that's some of the complaints sometimes, because people want credit cards because they want to get their doc fee or their down payment, instantly. But how fast is the ACH?
Look, we use ACH, what's called ACH same day, but basically it's not really same day, but it allows you to get the money in 2 business days, essentially. And we're looking at something, that might even bring us down to minutes. So think of, I don't know if you use like Venmo and PayPal, but you have ways to transfer money within like a few minutes, seconds, and we're looking at the same rails to make it happen that way.
Gotcha. Well, 2 days isn't bad though. I mean, sometimes we wait a week for ACH payments. What'd you say, Howard?
I was just saying that it is a great solution to the way you've described it, but it does happen that those connections break or they get turned off. Like, so right now, I'm trying to get all the transactions from my bank into QuickBooks online. And for whatever reason, it's something unique to my bank. They're working on it in the background, but I connect it and I got to get the text, and then I hit the text, and then I put the confirmation number, and I do it like 1,000,000 times, and it still doesn't connect and get all of the transactions. And I think generally it does work. I think this is just a weird security thing that my bank has that they're hopefully fixing. But then sometimes, especially if you haven't managed that connection, it just disconnects.
Yeah, Howard, I know exactly what you're referring to, and it happened to me as well. It's super painful with my with Xero and other system, but it's a different use case, because what you're referring to is when there's a software that needs to see your transactions, so it has to constantly access your credentials and bank account. While what we do is essentially we verify the bank account and get an encrypted token that allows us to charge that bank account, but it doesn't require like the constant connection. So even if the connection isn't there anymore, the payments will go through anyway.
Awesome.
That's great. That is really good. I love it. You're really building this with some state-of-the-art technology behind it.
So help our audience understand where you currently serve. So what states you're currently in, and what the future plans are. So
we started in California, and then we recently expanded to Arizona and New Mexico, and next will be Colorado and Florida, and then we'll see. I mean, we are listening very actively to the market and where there's demand, and balancing that with the regulation side of our business. So what we need to do to open in a new state. So it's going to take probably some time, but we expect to cover the whole US in the next year or so.
Wow, that's pretty fast.
Yeah. Very
awesome. Cool. Well, do you have, Howard, I'm out of questions. If you don't have any more, do you have any more questions for us? Federico, Fede, I'm sorry. And
questions for us. Interview?
Yeah. And then how can people get in touch with you?
Yeah, of course. Let's start from that. Like, it's very easy. Just go to fabrica.land. That's fabrica.land, and you'll find everything, and you can give it a try. So click on free trial, add a property, and put it for sale. It will take a few minutes, and test it with a customer and see how it is. And what we have seen is that people usually don't come back. Once they try it, they say, okay, I want to load or add more and more properties and give me more states and so on. So just give it a try. And in terms of questions, yes, I do have a question for you. I do have a question, which is like, what do you think we should be building next? What is the thing that it's more painful for you as land investors and that you'd like to have it automated?
It's a good question. I think being, obviously adding more states but what you're doing, eventually building out so that we can handle purchases as well. So we can handle the whole thing from acquisitions to sales. That would be awesome. As far as a specific feature, nothing's coming to my mind. How about you, Howard?
Yeah, I think you're going to end up, it's just going to be like use cases. There's going to be, you cover the major use cases, and then once those are covered, then it starts getting into the minor use cases. Like I've had customers who have come to me and they've just said, look at, with everything that's going on in COVID, I can't do it anymore. Can I just be released from the contract? So then I produced a document that basically gives them a release from the contract. That ends the term, and then I put it back on the market. But I owe them some documentation so that they know that they're no longer legally responsible for those payments. So that would be, but to me that's
for defaults.
Yeah, it's kind of, it wasn't a default. I mean, it was just but that's what happens is, we get to these conversations, and that's what happens, particularly in the default area, though. I mean, I think most land investors don't want to default or don't want their customers to default, and we'll work with them and change the terms in order to help them not default. So I guess maybe that's the one, right? It's like, what happens if we agree with the customer that we want to change terms?
Yeah, it's a good question. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's something that we would probably do right now. We would probably do it manually, but we can readjust the terms of a financing plan if both parties agree to that. And if we see that is something that happens frequently, we can automate that component too. So we have quite some flexibility there to play with the system. Again, when I was telling you right before we started the interview about the big thing for us was finding a way to make these properties digital, so to speak. So once they are like digitized, we have a lot of flexibility to operate on them and add new features. So that's the whole thing. And another thing that we have on the roadmap, because we have heard that it's something interesting, is to take care of property taxes. So imagine you have like 100 properties across the US, and you don't really want to check your calendar every month to understand what is due when and like how to pay for it. Yeah. If a property is on Fabrica, we take care of it and we just charge you on your bank account, so you're safe that the property will always be in good standing.
Yeah, that's really that's great, because it's something that I've always struggled with, and recently set it up with my bookkeeper. So it's at least delegated, but I prefer to automate it. It's probably cheaper. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that.
Cool.
For sure. Well, all right.
Ben, this is fascinating stuff. I think what you created is really cool. And I tell you, and once you figure out how to get this over into the housing market, all I need to know is how to invest.
Okay. Right. Okay, I remember those words.
There you go. All right. Well, guys, I think that's a wrap. Thank you so much, Fede and Howard. It's been a very informative, and I hope our audience gets some nuggets out of this and some actionable items, and will reach out to you and take advantage of your services. So with that, I bid you adieu and have a great day.
Thank you so much.
We hope you enjoyed this episode, had a bit of fun, and walked away with some actionable insights that you can apply to your business. Dave and I have got some great content and interviews planned, so don't forget to rate and review, and of course subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, or wherever you get your podcasts. If we mention any interesting links or tools, you'll find them in the show notes. To learn more about LAND.MBA, visit our website at, wait for it, LAND.MBA. See you next time on the LAND.MBA podcast.